What's wrong with her? Pablo Dominguez. Just tell me, don't worry. Camilo, forgive me, but I feel that something is happening there. I called Julia, and an employee answered. I called earlier at 6 a.m. and she said, call Dominguez.
Hi guys, good to have you here. This is SAD Media. Thank you for logging on to my YouTube channel. So Passionistas, again, it's time for us to talk about the latest episode on Law of the Heart. Please, if you followed the last episode, kindly let me know the highlights, your highlights, your moments, your peak points, your high point, and what you think we should expect in subsequent episodes. So it started with Roberto telling Camilo his assumptions, his worries about Julia, and thinking or concluding that he thinks that there is a relationship or a thing between Pablo and Julia. So after letting Camilo know, he leaves, he goes home, then Camilo is left to himself. Like, of course, his suspicions all along eventually come to imagine what you fear the most happening to you. So that's exactly what just occurred in that scene. What I fear the most, what I've thought, what I've imagined all along, now it is looking like this is the greatest reality of all. So the next scene is Pablo and Julia. They get back from the funeral. He gets to drop her in the house. They had a conversation, they were talking. He appreciates her for the time, so they get talking about other things, about him, about her, and she's about to get back into the house, get to their house, and again they kissed passionately. So I could imagine so they kiss very, very passionately. So again, at the other end, they show Camilo again. He's still in a very deep thought mode, like he's thinking deep. His appearance showed that he was really thinking there. Julia on the other end was also thinking, like she stood at the corner of the room or the entrance to her apartment, thinking in a very, very thinking mood. I'm just imagining what is going through the whole of her head. So the next thing is Ortegax get into the office. He has a client. He's talking with Camilo, with Carmel, that he's just talking with Carmel, and in the process she said, okay, they've changed the magazines, and now the people or their visitors, their guests, they get to read more of the magazines there, which was more of lifestyle and yes, news, gossip, and all of that. He was a bit worried with them when Carmel tells him rather that it is the suggestion of Maria Christiana. He okay, was assured in a way, and then the furious attention in his face just disappeared, and he went to his office. So even Carmel noticed that imagine the curtain, as when I told him is Maria Christiana who suggested that we buy such magazines. And she also confirms to him that the visitors or the guests, they like reading their magazines. Then so the next thing is Camilo comes into Kaba Ortega's associate. Yes, he gets into Kaba associate. He sees Carmel and tell her he'd like to see Pablo. Like, Pablo is surprised, so he gets to see Pablo in his office. Then he thanked him so much. Like, the guy is a very, very smart kid and lawyer barrister, so he's trying to use like a strategy. So he gets to Pablo, he talks about his time and his stay at the prison, everything that happened, like not really everything, what he feels, what he thinks about being there, being locked up in a place for 3 months, you know, that kind of a story. And eventually he thanked Pablo for all he's done, for Julia for giving her work, and for, you understand, that kind of, like, obviously like he's trying to be very, very smart with the situation. So in the process, Julia walks into Pablo's office, a surprise to see Camilo. So they get to talk, they talk just a bit, and eventually he kissed her, and then told her he came. He told her he came to actually see Alfredo, to know about his cost, his fees, and all that. So Julia leads him to Alfredo's office. So Alfredo also sees him. They talk about his fees. They talked about so many things. Okay, and then he also would like to speak with Nicholas, but Nicholas is out of the office. He's in the home of the elderly to see his popsy, to see his sweet daddy. So they showed us scene. He's having a conversation with his father. He gives him the outcome of the meeting with Anzola, Pablo had with Anzola, the terms and conditions on which he is meant to stay in the house, and that if he does not if he in any way violates any of the rules, they would send him out. And he just like randomly text him and advise him eventually to be friend with Astrid, like the woman who really doesn't smile with him, so he feels the lady likes him so much, so it's better he makes friend, he becomes friend with her, and so that to avoid any unforeseen circumstances that will be on the way. Like, it was a very beautiful, maybe father and a son conversation, relationship, love. Like, I just liked that scene. It was so beautiful. So the next below, then they leave Alfredo's office. He gets to Julia's office. He likes the office. He tells her that, oh, Cabas Associate is one of the best legal firm or entity to work in the whole of the area, and just wish they just normal talk, like, okay, that it was good for her to be there at this very moment. And she's a bit concerned that her contract is just for 3 months and they may let her. She doesn't know what the outcome will be, but he assures her that they would not let her go after the 3 months. Well, she's optimistic that he wouldn't go. So he also tell her that he liked to see her parents. Then before leaving, he reassures her of his love to her, and they talk about the funeral night. That Camilo is a very smart person, that he knows that the funeral home closes at 10:30, so every other thing she was doing is an excuse. So obviously she didn't want to see him. So Julia is also again in a very thinking mood. Of course, you know how she's feeling. She's been feeling since Camilo get out. Camilo is about going out, and in the walkway he gets across Ivan. So Ivan assures him that they would have a drink sometime up a week. I'm very sure Ivan will be another person to let the cat out of the bag, to tell him almost everything. You know, he already has he doesn't really like Julia because he feels Julia is taking Rosa's position in the office. So I'm very sure he would try every means possible to let Camilo know that there's something ongoing between Pablo and Julia. So Alfredo gets to talk with Pablo about the situation, why they think Camilo got into the office. Of course, Pablo let him know that he's not fooled. He knows the strategy, and he wants to think he's smart and all that. But anyway, he's not fooled in any way. So Alfredo asked him if he is jealous. you could see Pablo's face, like okay, honestly. At the exit, they all met at the exit, and they got into the same elevator. Like, so in the elevator they all boned, like they all boned their face. So in the process, Camilo tried to drop the conversation and ask that Julia said she'll be there for 3 months, and if they will let her off after the 3 months. And Pablo was like, there is no point to let her go. You could see his face, like even Alfredo, who was standing at the back, noticed that more. So when they got to the ground floor, Alfredo actually I mean, life is so much. It was really beautiful to watch. Alfredo eventually talked to Pablo and tell him to be also very considerate, that this is a man in love with the person you are in love with. So Pablo asked Alfredo to pick a side, either he's with him or he's with Camilo. Honestly, I don't even know what to say, because okay, I'm just imagining, what if Julia had married Camilo that day, this incident did not happen. Anyway, everything has a reason for happening, and it is all film. They are entertaining us and also telling us stories and all of the police come for Elucia here. They come for her, Imena. So they get to her apartment, they see her, they are about to apprehend her, but she informs them that she had a sick child and she wouldn't leave him alone. So obviously they left her, but of course her arrest has been guaranteed. So eventually the judge came over again. The judge came over again to see the situation. He sees the child, the sick child. You know, in Rahelu's and Marcos investigation about that, I think there was something mentioned about that okay, something about a child who the doctor hadn't, a case, like there was a case within that circle that the judge or who was in charge of that case closed for one reason or the other. Definitely we're going to hear or see a lot of things unveiled about this particular same in the subsequent episodes. So eventually, since an arrest has been initiated, they will definitely take her and then do more investigations, hearing and what of you. So she follows them. She tells her maid to take care of her baby while she follows them to the police custody. So Mariela's divorce hearing, Alfredo is there, Catalina is there. Like Catalina did a very, very, very fantastic job. Like all her proofs, like her all her proofs or reasons why the divorce should even be effect as soon as possible. She spelled them as, like, she redid her job. She spelled them out very well. She gave reasons why Mariela shouldn't be in that wedding and the reason why she has to be out of that wedding as soon as possible. Like Alfredo is really impressed, and on the way out it has her, oh, there wasn't need for him to be there, so they had a conversation. Catalina will not even surprise you. She would always surprise you in almost every episode. Like, okay, they had a conversation, and then when they started talking with Alfredo, it was like, okay, that she just want to marry, blah blah blah. And so eventually Alfredo had to leave her there because he had a call to meet up with the judge. Okay, now Nicholas is working on a case, the case Fernando had told him the other day to work on. The murder of a particular man, like he's very thorough. He murdered the man in self-defense, but she's been arrested, and so he's very thorough about the case. He's asking her so many questions, like what to be able to ensure that she is set free from prison. So I think we'll do another subject on that. Why do women stay in marriage or in an abusive relationship? Because as they started talking, so when he started asking her questions, so many things started popping up in my head, like, okay, sometimes people stay in abusive relationship, in abusive marriage until it gets to the extent when, like, it's so critical that it eventually leads to the death of a particular partner. So does it have to get to that extent? Do you have to wait till you get to that extent before you eventually leave the marriage? No. So that would be a topic for another discussion. That is this case, and she actually was in the marriage for so many reasons. Eventually, in self-defense, she killed her husband. So that being said, I think, okay, Julia is out for lunch. She tells Camilo that she would be back to the office very soon. So Nicholas' case, questioning the lady, is the end of this episode, saying in subsequent to hearing and see more in subsequent episode. Like I already mentioned, please, if you have feedback, comment, kindly let me know in the feedback section. Again, if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, kindly subscribe here. I'm your girl SC Media. Thank you for logging on to my YouTube channel, and until I come your way again, remain peace. I love you.